So I'm going to go through some brand stuff, I guess, and Chris is going to sort of tell some stories in between.
Yes, some cautionary tales.
Cautionary tales. And we're really looking at how to sell online without selling out, the importance of brand in this era of channel sales. I am Matt, and
I am Chris. I think they sort of know that.
So the key really to successful channel marketing is all about creating a personalized shopping experience. You need to make it as wonderful as you can for your customers, as amazing as these two women in a shopping trolley. Is your experience like that? Who knows? And a shopping journey, there's not one size that fits all here. The person sat next to you may have a very different shopping journey than you. So understanding your audience and building a strategy that makes your customers feel amazing is one of the most important things that you can do. What we're trying to do as well a little bit is look ahead, look at the future of selling online. And to do that, we're going to go back a little bit. This is what Google used to look like early 2000s, sort of when I started working web design, online marketing and branding. And back here, we really cared about these blue links, the 10 blue links. Trying to rank well for them was it was what it was all about back in the day. But if we fast forward to today, I don't think any of you will be surprised by any of this, but the experience in Google alone is drastically different. We've got sponsored results, we've got sponsored ads, we've got some organic links in there, we've got answer bank, we've got videos, we've got category filters, we've got department stuff, we've got the business listing stuff on the side, we've got maps results. Google's trying to understand your intent all the time. What do you mean when you're searching for these things? We've got related searches, and Google even knows where you live from your IP address. It will find you, it will hunt you down, and it will kill you. Well, not yet, but it might be coming. If we go to Google Shopping in particular, it's a really different landscape too. Over the last year or so, they've been developing their own marketplace effectively. We can see now that there are product filters. People can search for your products in a totally different way. And this is already out in the States. They can actually transact as well. They can click on a product and they can buy directly through Google's own checkout. And that will be coming to the UK. So more and more people are having a shopping experience outside of your website through all of these different multi-channels. And let's talk about Apple. So Apple Search is widely rumored to be doing a few things soon. At the moment, this is kind of how it looks. You see the suggested websites and does some stuff. But for Apple to compete in search, it's not going to try and do what Google does. It's going to start returning results from apps because it's got an app library of billions. That's where it's going to be propagating its search from. So if you do a swipe down on your Apple product and do a search, what's likely to happen is you'll see results matching your intent inside apps directly on your screen that are installed on your phone. But the really scary thing is they're also going to start showing results for apps that don't exist on your phone. App streaming. So you'll be able to rank, I guess, on Google search if you build an app to try and match things that people are searching for. So when we were doing e-commerce back in those early 2000s, there were loads of people going, why do I need an e-commerce store? And reluctantly, eventually they all bought an e-commerce store. Now those same businesses are saying to me, what, do I need an app? Surely I don't need an app. And we're kind of going, well, you might. If you want to start appearing on Apple search, maybe it's worth looking at. So gone are those days of 10 blue links where these different channels used to sort of drop people in to your domain and you could control the story, you could control the narrative. They're moving into a bigger landscape, a landscape full of all of these multi-channel opportunities. Effectively, these big players, where they used to inject people into the top of your funnel, these little dots, use your imagination. I couldn't be bothered to do logos everywhere. These dots are all of these different channels, right? And they used to drop you in higher up the funnel. They're now dropping you in at the point of checkout, and much further down the funnel, so you've got less control over the narrative, certainly from your website's point of view. And sometimes they're even controlling their own funnel, so you can buy directly through these channels themselves. So here's a fun thought experiment. Because in the future, we could see businesses working in a much more decoupled manner, where if you imagine you're starting a business and you want to sell online, you could almost set up a PIMS or an ERP with your products on. You could push that data through to all of these different channels that have their own checkouts or will have their own checkouts. And you may not even need an e-commerce store. We would always say get an e-commerce store, and we may always say maybe you should go with Big Commerce because they're very nice people. Other platforms are available. But what would your world look like if you switch your e-commerce store off? How well would you be able to engage with the customers, sell through all these different channels? It's a really good question to ask yourselves, because that's probably what the future looks like. We see loads of stats, but we see that companies who adopt a multi-channel strategy with 3 or more channels versus just the single channel stuff, just come to my website, can see up to about a 500% higher order rate, which is significant. So there's lots of opportunities. It doesn't matter if you're B2B, B2C, D2C, the opportunities are there. But it can be a challenge. So here's a little digest, some signals to consider if you're trying to get on a space like Google Shopping, for instance. How is your pricing? Are you competitive in price? If you are competitive in price, then that's not a bad thing, because Google Shopping does suffer an awful lot from sort by price, because people are often looking for the cheapest thing when they're on that platform. Not always. Or do you have a recognized brand? A really good question earlier for the first talk. I said, what about luxury brands? Do I need to get a load of reviews and that kind of stuff? Well, if you're not recognized, but if you are a recognized luxury brand, that's a massive thing. Are your reviews strong? We've been over that. Do you have local benefits as well? That's often a key signal when you're doing search. Is there a reason to buy from you? Do I get free delivery from you guys? Or is your product unique? You can see if you are entering these marketplaces, if you're more expensive than everybody, if nobody knows who you are, if you have no reviews, there's no reason to choose you locally, and your product is the same as everyone else, why would anybody buy from you? So we're here to help. It's not funny. We're a serious business. B.A.P.S. We're pioneering a new acronym for you all. You could consider this like a bit of a 4-week program. Maybe you're already doing multi-channel. Maybe you're just starting to look at multi-channel or omnichannel. But we're hoping this sort of 4-week strategy could help you get started or help review where you are. So week 1, spend a week looking at your brand. Review your brand, review your promise, review your purpose. What's your reason for existing? Is it still true? Is it still there? Review those business goals. Not all business goals are financial, of course. So understand what they are. That can really help you get the right message on your channels. Look at your whole footprint. Think about turning your website off. What does it look like everywhere else? What message are you putting out across all these different channels? And where are the weaknesses? Spend some time looking at those touch points and going, this doesn't look right. This isn't good. How can we improve? So just to dig down a little bit when we talk about branding, because some people get confused, I'm hoping you guys are all smart though and understand that branding is not your logo. Branding is much more. It's the promise we make to our customers. It's the relationship us as organisations form with our audiences. Those of you who have worked with Rusty Monkey will have been subjected to Simon Sinek videos. Those of you who haven't, check it out. It's really cool. Simon Sinek says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. What is your purpose? And in the era of channel sales, brand messaging becomes more important than ever. We know this. 82% of consumers are loyal to brands with values aligned to their own. If you're not talking about your values, you may lose your audience. And whatever channels you use, it's important to communicate those brand messages across all of those channels, all of those spaces, wherever possible. And really importantly, don't break your promises. And here's Chris with his first story of woe and misery.
Hello. I am sort of branding Grinch, because I just want to try and take us back to why we're selling and what we're doing. So here is a story about a water feature we bought recently. My wife's at the back. She's a keen gardener. And we searched long and hard to try and find the right water feature. It had to have sort of a noisy, dribbly effect. And we found this. There we go. This was our dream water feature. And I found out that it was available in a few places. So I put it in the cart in a few websites. And one of them said, next day delivery. Oh, that's going to be really good, because I have a real problem with parcels turning up at our house when we're not in. The Ring doorbell goes off and I'm like, can I speak to this man? Will he understand me? Will he get angry? So this was great. But then they dropped this asterisk into the conversation. So I thought I'll have a look around, see what that actually meant. And they said, well, the item will be shipped on a next day service after the product handling time shown on the product details page. What does that mean? Okay, so I'll go on the product details page. Says nothing about that. There's their random caveat, doesn't mean a thing. When the other option was free delivery that would take 3 days. So, okay, well, we'll give it a go. So I ordered this thing on a Sunday. Obviously, it's going to be dispatched on the Monday. So we get it on the Tuesday, which is fine. And we're working Wednesday, Thursday, so we don't want it to appear then. But it doesn't appear. So my wife then emails in and they say, oh, it's actually going to arrive on the Thursday, exactly when I didn't want it to appear. And then Thursday comes and goes, still not around. So they actually delivered it on the Tuesday. So they've made a sort of weird promise on their website that said, next day delivery, aren't we great? But they've actually sort of changed the laws of physics and like what English means. How have you done this? It's like crazy. So, but doing things like this sort of hurts your brand. It sort of shows that you show the customer content. It's sort of really grim. So yes, that is my first tale of woe. So don't do it.
Round of applause for Chris's tale of woe. Okay, so week 1, brand. Week 2, audience. We can't stress this enough. Review your audiences regularly. People sort of set up a demographic. They go, here's our audience. They are this age and they are, they live over here, and that's it. It's written in stone. We're all done. Is it, though? Are the audience you have, is it the actual audience you want? Are there other audiences out there? You should constantly recycle, renew, and review your audiences. And while we see from organisations lots of work going into those demographics because they're handy for setting up social media stuff, sometimes they may go to the psychometrics, the things that bring the audience pain, things that they love, things that the challenges they're trying to get over, and that's pretty good. The rarest thing that we see from organisations is when they've spent the time to do the social metrics, which is where do they live? Where do they live online? Where are they spending their time online? Like Hayley said, interview your customers, understand where they are shopping, what they're doing, because the more you understand it, the better you can do your channel marketing. We're going to talk a little bit about customer journey in a second. Create and refine your customer journey, so key. And review your selling strategy. What do you want to try and sell on what platform, where and how? So just digging down into customer journey stuff, let's do a quick show of hands. Has anybody in an organisation here, have they got customer journey maps? Is that something you've got? Okay, some of you. Okay, cool. If you don't know what they are, come and see us afterwards. We can share some of what ours look like, but they're really valuable things to get in place. And when we talk about customer journey, we really like to think of where they start, where they finish, and all of the touch points that will affect them in between. And the touch points aren't necessarily all digital either, because your packaging is a touch point. How you answer the phone is a touch point. All of these small things all contribute to your brand, your promise, and how your audience will see you. And the more personalised you make it, the more you drill down into that persona almost, and you're really looking after the individual, giving them that personal experience, the better you're going to win brand loyalty and the better your channels are going to work for you. If things go wrong, you can be in trouble as well. So 76% of customers would stop buying from a company after just one bad experience. And research shows as well, if you do have a crappy experience, it takes about 12, 13 good experiences to make up for that one bad one. So you're working pretty hard. And give him a boo as he comes back on stage. It's another miserable tale of woe. It's not.
The thing is, none of this is difficult, and you could just have a think about the customer journey and things will become really plain straight away. So this one is about mailing lists. We bought a greenhouse because my wife is into gardening, as we know. We bought it from a company called the Greenhouse People, and we know that they sell direct to consumer because they say things like buy direct from us, and they speak to Dear Gardener. This story could be different if we were selling to trade, but they were selling to me, and I was going to buy one greenhouse. How many people have bought a greenhouse in this room? None.
Christy, put your hand up.
It's pretty rare to buy a greenhouse, but we bought our greenhouse sort of in lockdown kind of territory, and from September to November, this is how many emails they sent me trying to convince me to buy another greenhouse. If they'd taken any step back and just looked at how often people buy greenhouses, they wouldn't be sending me all this crap. It's just absolutely bonkers. You might buy a greenhouse once every 5 years. It's like, so we just need to make sure we act like real people are buying the products. That company also sends us 2 catalogues every year with greenhouses in, which obviously must cost them quite a lot of money. And they're probably about 14 years too early. So they're just wasting money. So my thing would be just actually take a walk through your customer journey. There you go.
Week 3, halfway through, positioning. So by now you should know what your purpose is, what your brand is, what you want to communicate. You should know who to. But we need to think about positioning, and it's a good opportunity in week 3 to start doing some research. Look at your competitors, see how they're talking and what spaces they live in as well. What channels are they on? What do you think might be working for them and what might not be working for them? And importantly, what might be working for your customers from their perspective? What kind of messaging and content are they using versus your messaging and content? And how are you going to differentiate yourself? Write out your brand positioning statement, your point of difference. And really importantly, tell your brand story in that positioning so that people understand your promise to everybody. If you do this well, you can start avoiding the price war that you'll inevitably see on some of the bigger marketplaces. And if you do it well, people will be able to understand your difference. They'll be able to see how you're communicating differently to your competitors. Martin Neumeier, is it? When everybody else zigs, you should zag. And these are actually Chris's socks. It helps you be a trendsetter and not a follower. And it helps you start to be able to create a defined image towards a specific audience where you're saying really specific things that's meaningful for them. And really importantly, don't try and appeal to everyone or you will appeal to nobody. We like to use a phrase at Rusty Monkey called minimum viable audience. Drill it down, find out who they are, what they care about, and talk directly to them. So we're into week 4 in our B.A.P.S acronym. Week 4 should be about strategy because you've now got all the tools you need. You should start building your own strategy. So start setting some goals, setting some budgets. Try and do some laser focus because you don't want to try and do everything at once, especially with channel marketing. You don't just want to pile loads of money and effort into every single channel. Find the ones you think are going to work best for you and focus on it. And prioritize those channels as well. Go down the list of order and see what's going to work for you. Things like BigCommerce do that great thing with Feedonomics where you can get a bit of a bonus for trying some of these things out as well. So it's a really valuable tool. Importantly, measure those successes and failures and analyze your data and adjust and improve. Keep your eye on those data feeds. Make sure they're coming in well. So strategy is really important. Being strategic is key. It's important to think about the right tools, the right team you have that's looking after your marketing, the right agency that you might be working with. And a great bit of advice is make sure that when you are doing this kind of strategy and you are doing your online marketing, make sure that the right reports go to the right people. CEOs and sometimes marketing managers at the top, they don't need to see all of the detail of every single Google analytic that's going on there, or bounce rates, or where things are referring from. They'll care about that top level data. So make sure the top people get the top level data and the analysts get the analytical data. And importantly, don't let bad strategies fester. Sometimes you can launch a strategy, and if you're getting £1 in, £1 out, that's okay for a while because it's going on a journey and you're learning loads of stuff, but that's not sustainable. And here's Chris to talk about something that isn't sustainable.
Thank you. Now, excuse me, I'll just grab a drink while I'm here. Now, I think I've just about completed business videos on YouTube. I think I've watched nearly all of them. And this one really caught my eye, and it's about Casper, the mattress people. You know these guys. They were around in Europe a few years ago, and they were sort of everywhere. And yeah, they did a lot of marketing on social media. That was their big thing. And they had their average selling price of $700 per mattress. So just shout up some figures. How much do you think they spent on getting each new client? Any ideas?
800.
That's a poor business model. You would sort of expect maybe I don't know, I would want to spend like $20, $50. They actually spent $300 getting each mattress sale. But, excuse me, their business model looks a bit like this. They would buy a mattress from China for $400. They would then sell that mattress for $700. So that's $300 gross profit. But because of their guarantee, they'd burn 2 of every 10 mattresses. They would then pump $300 to get more people to buy. And then they'd have to fundraise $300 from venture capitalists to pay for all the back end things like HR and logistics. So they're actually losing $200 to $300 per product sold. But this doesn't seem like a business model that's going to work. The business model is really working for Facebook and Instagram. They're the people making money out of this operation, not us. So we just need to make sure we're doing the right things. The other things that they were doing, they were first in the market, excuse me, but throughout their life cycle, they started off going, we're going to do social media ads, and that's our main source of new traffic. But over that time, the social media ads doubled in price. Then a load of competitors thought, oh, I can buy cheap things from China and flog them. So competitors came in, and they just couldn't cope. So in a couple of years ago, they decided to leave the European market. And when they tried to float on the stock exchange in the States, they valued themselves at $1 billion. And then when they actually went on, they said, actually, no, we're worth 750 million. And then their value kept going down and down because there's just not that business model there. Anyway, strategy.
That was B.A.P.S, everybody. So we really wanted to be able to give you some takeaways. And I think if one of the biggest takeaways we'd love everyone to take away from the whole day, actually, not just from what we're talking about, but I think it's really understanding the omnichannel experiences and the multi-channel experiences. They're becoming much more expected by your audience, regardless of age, demographic, or whether they're B2C or whatever. 90% of consumers are now expecting brands to offer these omnichannel experiences across their preferred online and in-store channels and touch points. And it makes total sense, right? Because if you're young and you're buying things from TikTok and you've already got your store set up, you're gonna just use that to buy your stuff with. Going to a new site especially, and then filling in a load of details. Why would you do it? So it's important to, when you approach this multi-channel marketing, to start thinking about the recipe of ingredients. Success comes from recipe ingredients. As the other guys have said, A customer journey can bounce all over the place. They can be on different channels, social media. They could look at a paid advert. They may convert in a variety of different ways. So here's the recipe. Take an ounce of strong brand messaging, a sprinkle of amazing customer journey. I'm running out of things. A cup of personalized experience, a bucket, a focus strategy, and I don't know, bake it all in a constant review and renew cycle. Importantly, channel success comes from creating the right content for the right person on the right platform. It's about a curated customer experience, a personalized shopping experience. And your customers are out there. They're sat on all of these channels just waiting for you to get that shopping experience perfect. Thank you. That was me on the right and Chris on the left. Thank you. Any questions? No? Okay, let's go get lunch. Well, I think there's loads of cool things you can do. I think Mel was telling me a story about a retailer. I can't remember the name of them, which is bad of me. But they really started caring about that customer, and they gave them an app that meant they could go around and start scanning products in store that they could then buy online later. There's a mixture of experiences you can probably give your customer that are meaningful in the multi-channel world. There's even mad stuff now as well, like Google Lens, where you can take a picture of a thing and then you can search online for products that look exactly like that picture and get offered all these different buying opportunities for it as well. So you have to kind of think laterally, I guess, when you have bricks and mortar stores as to how best look after your customer and what you can do inside that store.
Yeah, I mean, I would be trying to inject soul into your website and have that same soul and message into your bricks and mortar store, so it feels the same. I think there's a lot around storytelling at the minute, and I think being able to have your online presence feel exactly like your bricks and mortar store would be the thing to concentrate on for me.
Yeah, and the audience is so important there, right? Because if they're coming into your store, you've got an opportunity to engage and talk to them and understand exactly what they are, what their pains are, what they're looking to try and do, both online and in person. So if you do have retail premises, there's a really good opportunity for that kind of customer engagement. Easier, really, than those that only sell online, because you do not have that face-to-face experience. You're the voice of woe, Chris.
Well, for me, I think a lot of people, it's like fidget spinners. You get pulled into like the excitement around certain technologies that everyone then jumps on the bandwagon. But if you're not doing the basics right, you're never going to win. So you've got to do that first. But I don't think there's a particular thing that I've tried that I've gone, oh, this has been naff. But I think too many people jump on the bandwagon of technology before actually dealing with their business as a whole.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I'm going to have a think about that one.
I'll come back after lunch and find a...
For me, I don't think any technology is naff. It's a bit like fonts, isn't it? People say, I hate that font, that's a shit font. And the actual rule is there are no bad fonts apart from Arial. There are no bad fonts. There are just misuse of good fonts. And I think it's the same for most platforms, most technology out there. Most of them are pretty good. But do we see them misused all the time? Yeah, like loads. Like, I kind of hate Facebook now. I scroll and I just hate it. Every third thing is a badly done ad. They drive me a bit mad. So
I've thought of one. The printer. That is my worst tool. Like, if you go to a physical store or a hotel and they have things printed out on A4, it's like a caveat. This tap is hot. You're not in a sort of brand world. They're just putting up these things just to say, this tap is hot. We can't be asked to sort out our plumbing. And you'll find that in bad brands. You'll find that everywhere. Just mind this step, or things haven't been designed properly enough for the customer journey. So anything that's printed out on A4.
I agree with that. My friend Matt, he was at a hotel and he showed me a picture of this. It was amazing. It was a slidey door that went out onto the balcony. And the sign next to the slidey door said, "Do not walk out on this balcony and shut the door behind you. You will not be able to get back in." It's like, is that really it? That's how you're solving this problem. You're not like fixing the door. You're just putting up a sign. It was like me and my friend Russell were at university. We accidentally broke a glass on the floor, and rather than clean it up, we thought it'd be funny just to put a sign up saying, "Warning, broken glass." It's the equivalent. Insight into my student life there.
These are branding moments of truth when your brand that you put out to the world suddenly falls away and you reveal something that isn't quite as palatable.
It's crazy, right? And when we look at AI generated content, we know that Google doesn't like it and it's trying to catch it. And just like Trustpilot, when they were talking about earlier, they've got a bot and it's fighting this bot over here. It's happening in the content world as well, right? So you've got the Google bot that's going, "Are you a robot? You're a robot. You wrote this, didn't you? Right, I'm going to penalize your website because this is a robot writing it." But some of the tests we've done internally, we don't use robots to write content, by the way. But we did a test with a robot over here where it writes the content, and then there's another robot you can put it in that will help you get past the Google robot that's trying to catch it to see if it's in constant. So this robot wars is happening, and it's not cool. It's not cool like it used to be on BBC Two. It's really niche and nerdy and shit. Sorry, go on.
Everybody wants to bring Robot Wars back, so...
Yeah. Chris used to film Robot Wars, so will you be filming this version of Robot Wars where two chatbots go at it?
I think it's almost too dangerous. I mean, ChatGPT is okay for coming up with sort of the ideas, but I think you've still got to get the soul into the business. I'm campaigning on soul because at some point, if everyone's using ChatGPT, everyone's just going to be the same. You're going to notice it straight away. And you notice as soon as a company has soul and someone's actually said, "Thank you for coming into the store," you feel something different than just a robot going, thanks for being here. You know, it's just rubbish, isn't it?
Can we set up our own robot store now where we act as robots? Thank you for your custom. I think it could be the future. I think there's always going to be a space for your e-commerce store. I'd hope so, anyway. So would they disappear entirely? I don't think so. So I think you want to try and make sure your store is a really good experience online and offline. I think the biggest mistake we can make as e-commerce owners, e-commerce managers, business owners, is to build a store, leave it, and not focus on what that store can bring your audience. So I think it's a case of, if you don't focus on the store, if you don't make, we're going to talk about search soon, I think, with these guys and merchandising. If you don't make your online store experience really good, it will just get lost in the noise of all of these other channels and your competitors coming in on all these other channels. But it's easier for your competitors to come in now. It's easier for them to get something somewhere. They can start selling online on social really quickly. So these emerging businesses don't have the same barriers to entry that we used to have back in the day with those 10 blue links when we're, you know, arguing with Santander or whatever bank it was in the day to try and get a merchant account set up. But you can't set a merchant account up until you've got a proper checkout experience. It was mad. It's so much easier now. I could relate it actually to, because I'm a musician, and it's the same for musicians. Musicians nowadays, you can build a home studio, you can write an album, you can get it out into the world pretty easily, you can publish it on Shopify. I always do that, Spotify. Back in the day, it was hard, it was expensive, you had to do tapes. So I think as we see the technology improve, we will see more people enter the marketplace, and that's the kind of threat. So you need to make sure your shop is good.
Maybe there's a thought experiment here that if you didn't have your own store and you had, say, 75 grand and you spent that on making TikTok videos or Instagrams or telling your story, would that be very different? Because would you gain more traffic because of that? And if you, as long as you can funnel them down into a place where they can buy, would that be better than actually having your own store? It could be, and there will be companies that come along who go, I didn't see that coming, and maybe that is a thing in a couple of years' time, because gaining that following and that tribe that Seth Godin will talk about, I think that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, I think the brands that neglect their audience are the ones that are going to suffer, and the brands that really look after their audience are the ones that are going to do well. It's a really good question, and it's one of them, oh, it depends answers, I'm afraid. But if you wanted a little rule of thumb, I would say make sure you're putting good budget into one online marketing channel to begin with. It depends on your budgets, but you'll do better with that than spreading that budget over loads of channels. And you want to give that at least 3 months, to do something so you can collect the data. And you need a good amount of data as well. If you're just throwing £100 in, you're not going to get the data to be able to make a value judgment on that kind of thing. But if after 3 months you've got enough numbers and they're qualitative enough and you're getting £1 in, £1 out, that's okay. It's not a bad place to start, because then you can move from there. If after 6 months it's just not moving, and no matter how much you adjust it, it's probably a good time to think about aborting. But you should see data well within about 3 to 6 months, we would say. I think if you're talking about a business trying to do something and trying to put something out there that's meaningful to their audience and different, I think there's been some really interesting stories out there. People like, I think it was Stella, maybe, it was definitely a beer company, and they did an awful lot around clean water. It was a big driver they had, and talking about clean water, especially in third world countries, and donating money to that and making it really purposeful and caring about the quality of that water for everybody. This idea that everyone should have access to that and then be able to enjoy a beer afterwards, maybe. I'm not sure what their full stop to it all was. But we've seen a lot of that ever since the Pepsi stuff, because Pepsi famously had this huge budget years ago of about £15 million. It was commensurate with Chanel. Chanel had a similar budget. Chanel got we'll do Pepsi. They didn't do any marketing at all. They said, let's not do any advertising. We're going to take this entire budget. We're going to do social causes for kids. Apply online. The website went down. YouTube hits went through the roof. It was an insanely successful campaign. It was in the States, so we didn't really hear about it much over here. Really great, huge figures. Chanel got Nicole Kidman and stuck her on a sign floating around on the top of a building. And they sort of pushed this out through their normal channels. Oh, we'll stick it at the front of a movie in a cinema, and expected some kind of result. And they had no real measure of it. They got some YouTube metrics of how many people watched the advert, but it was a pittance compared to the good cause stuff that Pepsi did. And if you think about them kids growing up, they're all like, oh, Pepsi sponsored my football team. You're getting some brand loyalty really early. I mean, it's a bit nefarious. But those kind of things are different. They're a real different way of marketing and trying to get your point across to purposefully in a purposeful way.
I think also shoppers can really see through brands now. So I think we have to tell the truth more. And I think we're seeing that through a lot of brands out there, that they're saying if things are bad, if we need to improve on something or whatever, they will say that, because, you know, everyone knows that Amazon is bad. And if some other company came along that was nicer to people, everyone would go there straight away. So I think there's a lot in that.
That's good. We talk about this a lot. If you check out our YouTube channel and our Monkey Mondays, we dip into quite a few of these stories. Snag Tights is a really great story, really authentic photography of people using their stuff. And I really like Dead Happy. I think they're a really interesting brand and how they've disrupted a business. What do they do there?
They do life insurance.
Life insurance, but they made it really funny and cartoony and skeletons, and you go on their site and you can make a death wish. It's really neat, a really clever way of disrupting. All right, we're a few minutes over time. I'm sorry, everyone. I've interrupted your lunch. Thank you very much. We'll be back at 12:40. Cheers, thank you.